Not even corny. Okay. All right. I think it's very important that we tell our stories because, like you said earlier, we know the language, we know the landscaping. We're able to reach out and touch that person per se, and influence them and inspire them to go on and do something greater and bigger in their own personal lives. Because, like when you get into the arts and entertainment, it opens up that whole spectrum. Like you said a moment ago, you can be a director, a producer, a writer, or on-set type person to help with the sound and the lighting that will create a whole nother revenue for people, which they never would have possibly had. Like, because there's a lot of brothers that's in jail per se. When they get out and they have those felonies on them, what can they do?
Yeah.
So I'm thankful to have brothers like you, because you're going to be that masterful, like I say, Scorsese in the future, where you'll be able to help the people back from where you're from. You'll be able to reach out to them and create that bridge and give them wisdom and knowledge on how to create film. Now, how difficult is it to create a film like this? What elements do you need for the people that may not know about film?
I mean, first and foremost, you need a script. The script serves as the blueprint for the entire story. So without a script, you can't really make anything. So I mean, that's the very first step. And I mean, it takes this project took a lot of help. I mean, I can't take all the credit. We had so many talented crew members and cast members who all came together and lent their talent so that we could collaborate and really create this. I mean, we had a cinematographer, you have a sound mixer, a production designer, a costume designer. I have an assistant director, editors and producers, and all of us together, we put our strengths together, and we all have a specific job to do, but all of it for the overall goal to get the film made. So it's challenging, and it's challenging to kind of lead a team of people. It can be challenging to get everyone together. But you have, as a director, it's my job as a leader to execute my vision and to listen and to hear people, but at the same time, it's getting the story down that I wrote and that I'm directing, getting the story made, and seeing my vision come to life.
Absolutely. Could you please, if you at this time, because I know you want to give away all of the film, you want people to actually go watch it and see it. What is the synopsis? What is the film about?
Yeah, so Homegoing is a story of a mortician's son who works at his father's funeral parlor, and he's balancing the expectations of working at the family business on top of the expectations of being a young Black man, and his expectations with his friends and friendships and with his community. So he's ultimately at the forefront of it. He's introduced to grief for the very first time in a very personal way. So before, he's dealing with grief from a business level, but now he's dealing with it with his own personal relationships. And that helps him see life in a whole different perspective for the very first time.
That's a very good subject. That's really good. That's really creative writing too. Dealing with grief. Because I know a lot of times, people handle those things differently. Some people will say if a person doesn't care enough, if under certain circumstances, that they must have been involved with something, or if they care too much, like they're being overly dramatic. But when you really research it, how a person grieves is how they grieve. Doesn't mean that they're guilty of something or innocent of something. They're just trying to handle it in their best way. So I like to ask, because I know a lot of your art is probably tied into you. How well do you deal with grief?
It's a work in progress. Everybody handles grief differently. There's different stages to it. But it's something that we all will experience at some point in our lives in some way, shape, or form. And I think in the Black community, we don't talk enough, especially when it comes to Black men, we don't talk enough about mental health, and we don't allow ourselves to be vulnerable with each other and talk about our emotions and our pain and our fears, the things that scare us. So I really wanted to create a film that really kind of touches on some of those things, and it shows characters and Black men who are actually being vulnerable with each other and having that softness and talking to each other, in which we do have with our relationships and our friendships, but we really get to see them, played out, I think, in an authentic way on film and TV, rarely. So I really wanted to do that in this piece.
I like that. That's good, because you're absolutely right. Amongst our brothers and ourselves, no matter what our sexual orientations may be, no matter what our lifestyles may be, no matter who we are married to, you're right. We never. It is considered weakness for a Black man in this world to actually express themselves on how they feel about certain things. And that's why we're slowly self-destructing. As you know, when you look into our communities and you look into where we're from and how we deal with one another, we are in super toxic, destructive, condescending relationships, connections, and we're really making our families unhappy too. And we're scarring the next generation that has to move above and beyond that. So I agree. I tell all of my brothers, I don't care where you're from. I don't care who you, what you identify with. If you need, you feel like you need to go get help because no one is listening to you, or they're not providing the solutions or the techniques or the wisdom to help you, get you a therapist. You don't have to tell anybody. Just go, we have the internet, which is our modern day phone book.
Yeah.
Reach out and touch somebody.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
So I want to ask a very important question since you brought up mental health in the film. How are you doing mentally? How do you survive being out in this world today?
Every day is a struggle. I think, especially now, everybody's going through something in some way, shape, or form. I think for me, it's all about just practicing self-care. And I think that looks different for every person. But for me, it's about limiting my social media, limiting how much news I'm seeing, surrounding myself with family and people who I love and who are supportive, and people who I can have these difficult conversations with about politics and what's happening in the world. Just surrounding myself with positivity and with my community. And that's been my saving grace. At the same time, being in nature, I live in LA, so, I take a lot of hikes. I go to the beach a lot. Not particularly now because the fires and the air quality is kind of bad, but just being with nature is really relaxing and peaceful to me. Just going for a walk in your neighborhood, just being outside. But every day it's a work in progress, but it's about finding that peace of mind for you, whatever that means to you. And just kind of practicing it each day a little bit.
That's good. I'm glad that you shared that with us, because you're definitely going to help somebody in the future. They're going to see this interview and see what we're talking about, and it's going to inspire them to get up and go take a walk, like you said. I was reading into the psychological journal, and they were saying exactly what you just said. Sometimes it's best mentally to just go outside and look at the sun for 10, 15 minutes. Nature's medicine. And as you know, the sun is a big ball of melanin medicine that regenerates and rejuvenates the spirit and soul and also the body. Because 15 minutes pours into you more than milk can ever do to your body. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate you. Now, being a young filmmaker coming along in the game, what are some of your trials and tribulations you can share with the people? Because sometimes we get discouraged and we get encouraged, but most of the times we always gravitate towards the negative and we quit. And you have a lot of great people like yourself that is coming along or has came along and has given up because it has gotten too difficult.
Yeah.
So sorry about that. So how important is it to stay on the journey?
It's extremely important, but it comes down to you. I think you really have to want it bad enough, because I know people say that a lot, but you have to want it bad enough because it's not easy. You're faced with an immense amount of rejection and no's, and just people, who may not believe in your vision, or who may not see your vision. So you have to really want it, and you have to be willing to fight through the tough times and just keep going. Ultimately, I really believe what separates the people who have success versus those who don't, a lot of it comes down to just perseverance and not giving up. I mean, there's a lot of other factors that go into place. I mean, some people, there's nepotism, or some people are just like handed opportunities because their mom or dad, you know, was in a position, and that's one thing. But I think a lot of cases, it's like if you really believe in yourself, and if you keep working hard and find a way to keep that drive a little bit each day, even if it's just 10 minutes a day, I think you'll make it happen. And it's not easy, but you know, I mean, I can't picture myself doing anything else. So for me, this was the only option. You know, this is, you know, so when it's the only option, you'll find a way to make it work. You'll find a way to make money from it. You'll find a way to like make a living, but you have to really want it more than anyone else can ever want it for you.
That's a very good answer. So what are your goals for the film?
You know, so my goals are to, you know, we're currently developing the project into a feature film. So, you know, I'm looking for financiers, I'm looking for investors, any producers who can get on board with the project, because we need to greenlight it. And in order for that to happen, we need resources. It takes a lot, it costs a lot of money to make a film. You know, you're paying actors, you're paying crew, you know, you're renting equipment, insurance, you have props, you know, you're renting out spaces, or you're building sets. So film is a very expensive art form, and we need support. You know, we're looking for support from those people in the Black community who, you know, who have the resources, who can invest in young artists and who can invest in young people coming up. So we're looking for support from our community. We're looking for support from anyone who wants to see young Black filmmakers really tell our own stories and have agency over our own stories, and want to support the arts, and the arts, in my case, which are specifically motivated to help build and uplift our communities. So, but yeah, so we're currently developing into a feature film. It's called Homegoing, and you know, hopefully you'll see more from us in the future.
Okay. Hey man, I want to tell you, man, word on the street is you're a bad man. I heard about you getting into these festivals. You know, that is not a small feat by no means. Are you surprised by that? You're like everywhere. I can't even name all the festivals. Tell us about some of the festivals that you're into.
You know, so we're currently at the Atlanta Film Festival. We're here for about 10 days. You can screen the film online. Because of COVID, unfortunately, everything is virtual. It's a virtual screening. But if you check out the Atlanta Film Festival website, there's a link to the film there, Homegoing. And if you're local, if you're currently in Atlanta, there's a drive-through screening on the 26th of September. And you can also find that information on the Atlanta Film Festival website for location and times and all that stuff. But Atlanta, we went to Palm Springs International Film Festival this summer. We were a part of Outfest. We were part of the Africana Independent Film Festival in Virginia. And we have some other exciting things coming up that I can't announce just yet, but later on, I hope to.
Okay. Hey, brother, you're doing a real good job. I know we only have limited time today because I know you got some more great things to do too. I'd like to also ask you about the Dream Investors. Tell me about that. The production companies that you work with.
That I've worked with in the past, or
in the past, the Dream Investors production company and the production company. Excuse me, I'm sorry, drawing it all together.
Well, I mean, I haven't. You know, I haven't really worked with any production companies. Everything I've done has been independently financed through myself. I created my own LLC called For Us Films, so all the films I make are under my own little LLC umbrella. And before that was projects I made in film school. But I mean, there's certainly some dream investors I would love to work with. I mean, we're here in Atlanta, so, you know, Tyler Perry would be an incredible dream investor who might be interested in financing our film. You can see this. But you know, I'm also, there's other production companies who I really love who I think are also doing really incredible work. Monkey Paw Productions, which is Jordan Peele's production company. There is Blumhouse. There's Macro. Macro is a Black-owned production company. I mean, that would be a dream to work with them. So yeah.
Why a short film instead of a feature long film? You know, like why did you go the short film route? What was the reason behind that?
For a couple of reasons. I think as a filmmaker, I think if you're going to make a feature film, I think a short film is a good way to start. I mean, to actually learn the process, to learn how to be a director, to get that experience in the practice, because you want to master your art form. And I think a short is a good way to do that. And making it short is also a good way to actually create a proof of concept of what the feature project you're trying to create. So that way, when you're talking to investors or producers or you're pitching your project, not only do they see a great script, but as a writer and director, I can show like a sample of the work that I can make visually, as well as what I can write down on paper. So I think it's great as a filmmaker just to make shorts and to keep making films because you improve your craft. But I also think it's great to have a body of work behind you that you can show people when you're asking them for support and resources.
Okay, cool. I like that. Now, with the whole COVID situation, how is it just affecting us earlier, like we talked about the whole global pandemic? How has it really affected the film festivals?
A lot of festivals are now going virtual versus having in-person screenings. That's the route that the majority of them have been taking, and for good reason. But it does make things more challenging because filmmakers like myself who are emerging or upcoming or, or even, well known or, mainstream people, we utilize festivals for networking and to show your work and to meet other filmmakers and other creatives and other executives and business people who are working in the industry. Two of the producers that I met for this current film, I met at a festival back in 2017. So they're really useful for filmmakers, especially independent filmmakers. So it makes things a bit more challenging when you can't have that in-person experience. But some festivals have done a really incredible job at still finding ways to bridge those gaps and help connect people with different folks all throughout the country. I'm grateful to even still have a platform to screen this film, even though we can't be there in person. It's great that like Atlanta Film Festival has, they're still making it a priority to really support these artists and really get our work out there so people can see it. Because without festivals, I mean, you want to have a large platform, but it gives you that exposure and it gives you, a platform to actually screen your work on a global scale.
Okay, cool. Now, question of the hour, the final question. What is it like working with Malik Shakur and Khalil Kain 20 years after the iconic movie Juice? And how did that come about?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, it was an incredible experience. And it was even more incredible to see Khalil Kain and Malik Shakur reunite on set. Khalil starred in Juice back in 1992 with Tupac Shakur. An incredible film to this day, written and directed by Ernest Dickerson. And, to have Tupac's nephew and Khalil come together on set, it was kind of magical because it was like they embraced each other like uncle, like nephew. And Khalil was kind of like showing Malik the ropes with some like acting chops and where to like focus his attention on the camera and different movement techniques. And so that was really beautiful. And ultimately, we were furthering the same conversation that they were having in that film of Juice about, gun violence in our communities and about that softness and intimacy between Black men and Black friendships. And we were having those same conversations and talking about some of the same themes that they were also discussing. So it was like we're passing the torch down to the next generation from like our perspective and my perspective from, our communities through my lens in 2020. So it was incredible.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Thank you for giving that to the people. So I know we're going to definitely archive that in technology and social media and online. So greatness meets greatness 20 years later. And we appreciate your sacrificing your service. And also you coming into this conscious reality that we call life and being strong enough to make movies, because we know how critical the internet is, people are, the reviews are. And we thank you so much for telling your story, for giving your life into this art, for inspiring us, for giving us direction, for giving us health, wealth, and unity. Man, you are creating a $1 billion, $1 trillion entity. You are a walking $1 billion, $1 trillion entity. Don't forget to look in the mirror and thank yourself too, because you're awesome and dope. Ladies and gentlemen, man, that
Thank you, brother.
is Carlton
Appreciate
Daniel
that.
Jr. You know, any final words you'd like to leave to any of the people or any messages? You can do it. So at this point, I'll just sit back and relax and chill and let you get your final thoughts out.
Yeah, I mean, and again, thank you for having me. I appreciate you doing the interview. This was amazing. If you can, go to the AtlantaFilmFestival.com and check out our film Homegoing. And you can follow me on Instagram at Carlton Daniel Jr. And yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you, brother. Keep shining your light. Stay up on your square. And we'll get back with you because I'm in Georgia right now too. So if you have anything come up in the future that your peer publicists know, and if we can make it, we'll be there to support you in any way we can.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate this.
Thank you, my good brother. Have a good day.
You too. Take care.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Ed. I go by the name of GeHolla. It's not Gula, not Guala, not GeHolla, but GeHolla. You'll find this wonderful interview on GeHolla.com, and we'll be airing on Roku TV and Amazon Fire TV and some more streaming services. Ladies and gentlemen, please take a real good look at Carlton Daniel Jr. Sorry, fixing my words up here. And I am GeHolla. Oh, let me get a quick picture before you go, young brother. There we go. Smile into the camera. There it is. I got a picture with a billionaire. You have a good day, and I'll take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.